Okay, let's talk about shit. Reflecting on good sessions. This is actually not... You know what? I was about to talk about something else, but then it actually popped in my head. About a time I had... I think I've talked about this before. When you have a really good session, and when you have a really good moment where you think to yourself, like, you know, I'm good at this game. I have reason to be like confident about my beliefs, but the problem is that you forget about it in the heat of it, and then you go off saying that you suck or whatever, and you like, you know, you could do a better job remembering when you play well and know that you're capable of doing that. You know, like maybe you're playing like dog shit now, but you remember there is a part of you that can play well. But that's not even what I was going to talk about. I was going to reflect on a good session and try to remember what you were doing in those situations. And every time I have a good session, I always ask myself, what happened there that was so... Why was I playing better? Why was I going on winning streaks here in this session? And that's why I said I think the best time I play is at 5 p.m.-ish, because I was killing it yesterday. I played ranked. I think I won about 17 and lost like 2, which is good. And I was trying to think to myself, like, okay, what is going on right now when I'm playing better? And the thing is, I was thinking, the only difference is I was thinking before every match, like, okay, I have a little problem, especially when I'm on stream, is like, I don't think about the match until I'm already in it. Oh, here we go, better start improvising. But when I'm by myself off stream and having a good session, I notice I'm paying attention to everything. I was playing against an Ibuki. I found myself looking at the health, the timer, how many kunai they have, the meter they have, the V trigger they have, way more aware. Like all that I cared about was the match itself instead of like being scatterbrained. And so I always try to ask myself, how do I hone in on that? You know, how do I always have a session like that? And so far I'm doing good. I think these matches with Sanford, despite that, or that last one, I wasn't really there. But the Akuma set, I feel like normally I'd be like, you know, this is getting a little too close for my liking. But I just kind of had faith. Like, you know, I know this matchup, and I know I can turn this around pretty fast. And I kind of wish I always had that. So if you don't already, you can reflect on your bad sessions. I think you should reflect on your good sessions too. Just remember, there is a way I can play like this more often. And you should always just shoot to play like that. Even if you're not doing it well. You know, like today, for example, in my next rank session, maybe I'll try it and it's just not working. But I think if you're aiming for that, like, you know what you have to do to win. And just because you can't do it all the time doesn't mean you suck. It just means you need to try again. And again and again and again. That's how you get better. You know? And I thought the topic of how to elaborate was a good one because I think my greatest skill in Street Fighter is not really my play, but how I can elaborate on it. Because I can kind of elaborate out of nothing. And I think it's important because I just feel like if you can't elaborate on what you're doing, then you don't understand what you're doing, and you're gonna get stuck there. So I think if you take a little time to elaborate on what's going on, and you can explain every situation and why you did something, even if it's a stupid answer, like why did you EX Demon Flip there? And if you have an answer, it's better than just being like, you know, I don't know. That's what made that pop in my head, you know. You should be able to elaborate what you're doing, and if you can't, that's where you should start. Why did I do this? Why did I do that? Can you guys do that? Do you guys, all you guys on there having a hard time getting up? Can you actually elaborate? Like, if I were to watch a set of yours, could you actually think you can elaborate on everything that you were doing, or would a lot of it be winging it, or just hoping for something, or this or that? I'm not asking anyone in particular. I'm just saying, could you elaborate on why you do something? And if so, and if you're having a plateau like I've been running into lately, at least at the end of the day, I can understand what I'm trying to do. And if I fail, I fail. But at least have an understanding of what you're trying to do, you know? And some people have better pictures of that than others. I think like if you were to ask Tokido, he'd be able to elaborate way better on way smaller things. Even coming down to like where he's putting himself on the screen in a certain situation. Oh, why are you standing right here? Oh, and he'll tell you exactly. Why are you standing right here? Oh, because I'm looking for this option. Every time he's got meter and he's in this space with that amount of health, 30 seconds ago, he's more likely to do this. He can explain in detail, I'm sure. I don't know that for sure. But that's what I would guess. So that's why that's important. You should just learn to elaborate. I mean, you don't have to. There's people who have seen success, and I think you can ask them. I always bring this up. You can ask them questions, and they probably won't know, and they're seeing success. So what I'm talking about a lot of time is not being like a high-ranked player. Always talking about being a better player. Even though I think my win rate is exactly the same as it used to be even 2 years ago, I bet if we look at my win rates, it's similar. You know, even though I'm a way better player. But that's because back in the day, I wasn't putting as much thought into what I was doing. I was just letting it rip, and it works a lot. You know, at the end of the day, EX moves are hard to stop, and their stupid setups are going to work most of the time and all that stuff. So even though my win rate is similar, I feel like a way more understanding player. And I think that's going to help me grow in the long term. This short term stuff, you get the work that you put in. So if you're putting in a little work to come up with these setups and they're working, well then it's only going to be satisfying for so long. So if you're interested in being a better player in the long term, definitely need to learn how to elaborate. There's some people who peak way too fast. And you know, to be fair, the game's only going to last a certain amount of time. And is your goal to be like, shoot to the top and as fast as you can? There's a couple ways to do that. Thoughts outside of the game? I feel like if I can establish some willpower in my thought process outside of the game, when I come into the game, I come a little bit more sharp. My decision making becomes, if your decision making is good outside of the game, is good inside the game. If you like, even I think I've talked about this before, but I guess I never really emphasized just on the part of thinking outside of the game. But even something like not going on Twitter when my finger's hovering on the Twitter button, I'm like, and then instead of pressing it, I don't, and I just turn off my phone. I just established like willpower there, and for some reason in my head, I think to myself, like, it's a decision like that that's gonna help me make a better decision in the game. I know it's fucking weird, but that's just how I feel about things. I think if I make these small little decisions that are better, like for example, I woke up this morning, I kind of wanted to just work on my stream kind of like the easy way. Instead, I got up and like cleaned my living room and the kitchen. It's just a good decision. And what do you know? I feel better today, and I took a dump, so I feel like optimal. Otherwise, I feel like right now I'd be a little salty, but instead I feel fresh. Well, no, I don't feel fresh. I feel stinky. It's kind of getting warm in here. That's way besides the point. On the other side of that is the why it's hard to quit. And I say quit because for most, I would say this game is more of an addiction than it is a hobby. You're playing Street Fighter because you have nothing better to do, or you don't know what else to do with yourself, and maybe you've already invested so much time in this game that you feel like if you stop now, you kind of just wasted all that time. And I'm definitely guilty of that. I don't think I'm guilty of that anymore, because now I see some sort of path. Things are starting to come together, but if you know, if you're sitting there and you're thinking to yourself, especially during a hard session, I've told you guys I trick myself with this all the time. You know, you just kind of, you want that moment of redemption that's never going to happen, which is another reason why losing streaks happen, because you think there's some sort of redemption here. I'm going to get that win, and it's just going to be like a miracle turnaround, and all of a sudden, everything's going to be great. I'm going to end this great. You know that is not going to happen. You're going to keep losing. You're going to keep feeling bad and bad and bad and bad. And it's so hard to quit because people hate leaving on a failure when they feel like they can turn it around. That happens to me all the time. And I can even see myself or hear myself audibly saying, it's too late, I've already gone too far. I say that all the time. I've already gone too far. There's no going back now. I'm too deep in the rabbit hole. Do any of you guys say that? I'm too deep in the rabbit hole. I'm already past the brink of willpower. I'm already gone. Now it's like overdosing on heroin. You're already too far gone. There ain't no like just instantaneously coming back. Which I think that's why it's so hard to quit. Who wants to feel like a failure anyway? You guys are awfully quiet. You know, you guys are supposed to bounce back opinions. You guys are being awfully quiet. What I'm going to assume is you're listening and you're doing other shit, and that's fine. But just remember, your thoughts outside of the game affect how you play the game, okay? So if you're over there screwing around, you might want to reconsider. Okay? Because I blasted through these topics today. Notebook, put down your phone. Class is in session. I think how you can... These topics was... Hey. Sorry. I don't have an infinite gauntlet of things to talk about. I'm just an endless pool of knowledge. Hop on in. I think BDN just doesn't get it. He's like, elaborate? I use Urian. Crouch medium kick Aegis. How is that for an elaboration? Okay, I didn't. You know, it's kind of hard to tell if you get feedback sometimes. That's the crazy thing about being a streamer is that sometimes you're just talking, and you're just sitting here like, am I alone? How are you? Are you? How are you? You? What do you guys think? Think. It's hard to tell. That's what I'm telling you guys. It's hard to tell. Anyway. That's what's good about starting your game plan simple and working your way up. That way it's pretty easy to elaborate on what you're doing. Okay, so if your goal today is using a certain move in a game. Oh, I want to end this game with critical art. That's what I want to do. Well, then it's going to be easier to elaborate because you're setting something up. And that's why I always encourage people to figure out a way how they want to end matches in a way to start their game plan, because then you have to center yourself around not using meter, you kind of are more conscious of everything that you're doing because you're trying to set something up. So if you're looking for either a new way to play, or like set something up like I want to win with this button, or I want to win with this meter, or I want to win somehow or with 30 seconds on the clock, set some sort of weird goal like that, and it'll actually change everything that you're doing. I want to use all my meter. I want to V reversal more, and then if you get a V reversal, then that's a game plan. Like you're waiting for the right time to use a V reversal, and then you nail it. That's a game plan. It's not a full game plan. It's not gonna ensure that you win the game, but just getting a V reversal on, like for me example, just V reversaling Sagat in the corner when he does stand fierce and a V trigger fireball. Maybe I won't win the match, but then that's implementing a game plan that I had going in. Like okay, I got that part. And then you start piecing little things together. Okay, sweeping the high tiger shot. Medium Tatsu, the low fireball. Not happening. Okay. Whiff punishing. Using medium red fireball. I have all these little game plans, and they're all kind of hard to implement. Which is why I don't like that matchup. It's just hard to implement. V reversaling a V reversal? I've never even thought to do that. I don't think that's really good with Akuma. I don't think that works with Akuma very well. So maybe that's why I never thought about that. I need to get some pros in here. I need to get someone in here someday to like bounce off of what I'm saying. Because a lot of times in a monologue, and I'm not right about everything, so I kind of wish I would get challenged a little bit more. Except these things are kind of like philosophical and abstract, so I guess there's just you're just kind of tossing them out there. Like, I don't know if you can really argue with, hey, you should reflect on your good sessions and try to figure out what was going on there. I don't think you can argue with that. I mean, that's good. You should look back on times when you play well, so that and when they're in times that you're playing bad, you know, you don't automatically go to I'm a dumb bitch loser.